When we think of ancient Pueblo people today, we typically imagine them building great houses out of stone and then mysteriously disappearing. But what if there was more to their story? What if they also built a center of trade and culture that rivals anything in the ancient world? Join us as we explore the evidence for an ancient Pueblo metropolis. The ancestral Puebloans were a culture that flourished in the American Southwest from around 550 to 1300 CE. They are known for their impressive feats of engineering, such as the construction of multi-story buildings made from stone and mortarless masonry. But these buildings are not what we will be talking about today. Rather, we will discuss another impressive feat, one that has been largely overlooked, but is just as impressive. We're talking about roads. Chaco Canyon was a center of culture and trade for the ancestral Puebloans. From this hub, they built roads that stretched for miles to outlying settlements. These roads allowed the ancestral Puebloans to travel safely between settlements and also allowed them to transport goods. It was through this network of roads that Chaco became a cultural and trade hub. Today, only a few traces of these roads remain. However, archaeologists have been able to piece together a pretty good idea of how the road system worked by studying what remains. The first thing you might be wondering is, why did the ancestral Puebloans build such a large road system? There are a few possible reasons. First, the ancestral Puebloans were farmers, and they needed to be able to transport their crops to different settlements. They also needed to be able to transport water from one place to another. And finally, they needed to be able to move people and goods quickly in order to stay safe from their enemies. Whatever the reason, the ancestral Puebloans ended up building a road system that was unlike anything else in North America at the time. The roads were wide and well-maintained, and they were used by merchants, farmers, and warriors alike. The roads were also very important for the spread of ideas. Chaco Canyon was a religious center as well as a trading center, and the roads allowed the ancestral Puebloans to share their religious beliefs with each other. In fact, some scholars believe that Chaco Canyon was a pilgrimage site. That means that people from all over the American Southwest would come to visit Chaco Canyon because it was a special place. The roads would have been used by these pilgrims to get to Chaco Canyon. So the roads were not just used for practical purposes, but they were also used for religious purposes as well. Another question you may have is, how did the ancestral Puebloans build such large roads? Well, they didn't do it alone. The ancestral Puebloans had help from other Native American tribes. The tribes would work together to build the roads, and then they would use the roads to trade with each as well as other tribes. This cooperation between tribes was essential for the building of the road system. Without it, the ancestral Puebloans would not have been able to build such large and extensive roads. The cooperation between tribes was not only important for the building of the roads, but it was also important for the maintenance of the roads. The roads needed to be repaired from time to time, and that required a lot of work. Once again, the tribes would have to put aside their differences and work together in order to maintain the roads. This cooperation was essential for the success of the road system. So what happened to the road system? Why don't we see it today? The answer is pretty simple. Over time, the ancestral Puebloans abandoned their settlements, and the road system fell into disrepair. No one knows exactly why they abandoned their settlements, but it is believed that it had something to do with climate change. Whatever the reason, the ancestral Puebloans left their settlements and the road system was no longer needed. Nature began to reclaim the roads, and eventually, they were gone. But wait, you might be saying, I thought you said that the roads fell into disrepair. How can you say that when we've found paved roads? You're right. I apologize for the error. The roads did not fall into disrepair. In fact, they were used for hundreds of years after the ancestral Puebloans abandoned their settlements. Other Native American tribes used the roads to travel and trade. Even after the Spanish arrived in the United States, they used the roads to travel. It wasn't until the early 20th century that the roads were finally abandoned. When you take into account how long the roads were used, it's amazing that they are still standing. Some of the roads are still paved, and you can drive on them today. Others are a little rougher, but they are still passable. And some have completely fallen apart. But given how old they are, it's amazing that any of them are still standing. The road system built by the ancestral Puebloans was truly impressive. It allowed them to travel safely between settlements, transport goods, and share ideas. The roads were built with the help of other Native American tribes, and the cooperation between tribes was essential for the success of the road system. After the ancestral Puebloans abandoned their settlements, the roads continued to be used by other Native American tribes and even the Spanish. It wasn't until the early 20th century that the roads were finally abandoned. If you want to learn more about the ancestral Puebloans or their road system, we recommend checking out the resources below. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something new. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our other videos on the ancestral Puebloans. We have videos on their housing, religion, and daily life. You can find links to these videos below. We also have a video on another impressive feat of engineering. The Great Wall of China was once considered the greatest engineering project in the world. Today, it is one of the most popular tourist destinations in China. You can find a link to this video below. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an exciting episode.